Our next honoree is another great leader that epitomizes the defense of American values in light of the bigotry that is going on in our society today. When the President issued his State of the Union in the Congress, there were 15 members of Congress that invited a Muslim to be with them during that address. And this next honoree invited a Muslim. And not only was she there to speak for those who are being victims and victimized of hate and hate crimes, but she has defended the rights of all people in our area. She has defended the rights of people that are victimized day in and day out. She has included them in her work, and I have seen her tirelessly work in our region and throughout the nation. So I want you to give a very warm welcome and a wonderful reception for our next honoree, the Honorable Judy Chu, our Member of Congress from Los Angeles.
Well, thank you so much, Salam, for that warm introduction. And it is such an honor to get this award from the Muslim Public Affairs Council. I've known of your work in Los Angeles for many, many years, and it is a double honor to be here in Washington, D.C. to see the work that you are doing here. Now, you know, my district is right next to San Bernardino, and certainly I could see that after what happened in San Bernardino, the demagogues of the Republican presidential campaign were falling all over each other to be more anti-Muslim than the next. Their calls for banning Muslims and stopping Syrian refugees were xenophobic to an unacceptable level. And it hit the local level. I was shocked last year when the mayor of Roanoke, Virginia, made this statement in his bid to suspend Syrian refugees from settling in his city, that President Roosevelt was right in sequestering Japanese foreign nationals after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and thereby justifying similar actions for Muslim Americans today. So I immediately issued a statement on behalf of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus condemning it, and fortunately, the efforts of everybody caused him to retract that statement. Well, there are those of us in Washington, D.C. that are saying enough is enough, and that we must counter these ugly anti-American messages. And that is why, after the San Bernardino shootings, I did write an op-ed against anti-Muslim bigotry in the Huffington Post. And that is why, right after the San Bernardino shootings, I publicly visited my local mosque, inviting the press to come. And that is why 15 of us House members did decide that we would do something special for President Obama's last State of the Union speech. You see, each Congress member is allowed one guest, and the press is usually interested in who those guests are because it usually sends some kind of message. So we decided that we, 15, would invite a Muslim American to be our guest. I invited Mr. Adnan Khan, a proud Pakistani Muslim American, and we had a press conference. My guest talked about being a successful businessman, but also about his efforts to reach out to the San Bernardino community after the shootings. Others talked about being first responders at the Twin Towers at 9/11. Still others talked about serving in the U.S. military and receiving medals for their service. I was so moved when I heard about how much Muslim Americans have contributed to this country. And what they showed was that Muslim Americans are true Americans who have greatly served this country. I know that when the civil liberties of any group is violated, we all suffer. And that's why we all have a stake in the fight. It was only 60 years ago that 120,000 Japanese Americans were taken to camps around the country based on hysteria and scapegoating about espionage amongst them. They lost everything that they had. In the end, though, there was not a single case of espionage that was proven. But there were not enough voices to speak up against this injustice. Well, today, there are those voices, like the voices that supported Zarife Shalabi, who became prom queen in her high school just last month. She was a devout Muslim high school student who wears her hijab every day, and she didn't even think that she would even go to the prom, but her friends led a school-wide campaign to elect her, and she won. And so just last month, she was crowned prom queen. And where did this most American act of friendship and unity occur? Right in the heart of San Bernardino. So how about that? Because of Zarife and her friends, it is my hope that we will have a country where everyone has access to the American dream and where no one feels unsafe, unequal, or un-American because of the way they look or the faith that they practice. The best way to ensure equality and justice is to build bridges with people in the community, and that is exactly what all of you are doing. So thank you all so very much for what you are doing. I am honored to be here.